information, he had a lot of passion, he shared the passion, and the hope was, because we didn't have enough time to actually be able to deal with all the questions that were coming his way, we hoped that people would connect with him. And if you didn't connect with him yesterday, then certainly his details are available here. The other thing is that the presentations that were delivered yesterday are available on the website, so we'll give you some information as to how you can access that so that you can continue to grow in that knowledge. Then we moved, after that presentation, to a number of panels and workshops. We had a panel on food and nutrition security, where we had some of the speakers and presenters talking about that particular subject. Then we had a health and nutrition session, a workshop, which was a breakout session led by Carib Health, Dr. Ujewere and his team. And those who attended that session came back and talked glowingly about how useful it was. I was in the session myself and found it very informative. So thank you for that, Dr. Ujewere. After that, we moved on and we had another presentation from Patricia Kolmawa, a brilliant presentation. Is Patricia here today? Okay, we had a very, very well delivered presentation from Sky GIZ, Patricia Kolmawa. And I would encourage you to connect with her. She's very knowledgeable and very able in terms of presenting what knowledge she has. We had another panel following that, which was moderated by the Leventis Foundation, and that talked really about the agriculture and vocational training opportunities that exist. And again, it was very informative because we hear about these things, but we don't necessarily know where they were or are. And the panelists here, and the Leventis Foundation in particular, seem to have actually been able to put a program in place that's accessible for those who want to seize the opportunity. After that, we went to a quality and standards workshop. So that was the second workshop of the day, again organized by Carib Health Group. That was excellent. We had them come back from that session, and before that session, we had a little bit of a leg stretch and some exercises and some practical ways of actually energizing ourselves. And I think we'll see some of that hopefully today. Dr. Ujewere, are we going to do that again today? That was very good. Thank you very much. So that's the fun part of the day. We had that yesterday, and we want to do it again today. So I won't steal the thunder around that. Later on in the afternoon, we had a presentation from Tom Nizzle, who is the MD of Authent. He was presenting virtually, based in the UK, and talking to us about the import of organic products into the EU, so what the regulations look like. And of course, we all appreciate that whilst all of this training and education, vocational training and education is going on, it must translate into something practical, something that has an economic benefit or an economic effect. So what we've tried to do is to bring in a number of speakers who can actually speak to some of the hurdles, the steps, the challenges, that what we would call the next step. So you see one, you do one, you teach one, but then what do you do? How do you actually translate that into some sort of sustainable trade? So we had Tom, who gave a great presentation virtually and waited very patiently to do that as well. Kevin Marks followed him. Kevin Marks he's the founder or co-founder and head of farm operations at Pioneer Sustainable Agriculture. And he did a presentation on international trade. So what he was trying to do was show us how difficult but not insurmountable international trade can be. So, you know, it can be challenging when you want to export or you want to start trading with companies abroad. But what he was able to do was really break it down into bite-sized chunks and show us where the hurdles were, where the challenges were, where the perceived difficulties were. And he was then able to take us through some very practical, non-theoretical ways of doing it, because he's doing it himself. He's another person worth connecting with. He spoke without slides. He was speaking from experience. And That was very, very interesting. Of course, we had him on the panel along with John Taylor, the trade councillor from the EU delegation to Nigeria, One Port 365, a sort of one-stop shop, Chinedu and Warren, and we also had Tom Nizzle there. That was moderated very well by Bamidele Owola. We then closed the day. So that's essentially what we did yesterday. What I'd like to do now, actually, is just get a little bit, before I call for the welcome address from Katerina, I'd just like to get a little bit of feedback from the floor. Wisdom, are you around? A little bit of feedback from the floor as to how your experience of yesterday was. So is there anyone who would like to make some comments, please? Okay. Wisdom. I see a hand over here. Thank you. Just here at the front. So if you wouldn't mind just telling us who you are, your name, who you represent, and then just give us a few comments about yesterday, please. I think I saw a hand on that table. Is that right, sir?
Good morning.
Yes.
My name is Rusia Batmos. I work with Ahk, a program funded by GIZ. One thing struck out for me yesterday, and that was from Patricia's presentations and on their findings in Edo and Plateau State. It's important to know that as we're working within the value chain, there are other skill sets that is required. So one of the skill sets missing, the top skill set missing there was accountants from their respondents, and maybe going down to factory operators. In terms of within the value chain, the skill sets are already there, but the supporting skill sets were not there. So it's quite interesting to look. So as we're going back, we need to start thinking about how do we ensure that all the skill sets required for a business to thrive is actually there, and there are other supportive ways. So there are lots of accountants, but accountants that have experience in agricultural value chain or understand agricultural value chain is quite key. So that's a takeaway for me from yesterday. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Sir, this gentleman here.
Thank you. Good morning. Ile Adeni, I work with Cocoa Research Institute of Nigeria. I identified a number of gaps from the presentations made yesterday, which are meant to be a challenge to us. Number one, from the agriculture and vocational training, we could see that there's no synergy between what the universities produce and what the technicality that is required in the field. And the research institutes and universities need to come together in collaboration. So while they do the theory, the research institute will support with the practical, and either for a certificate or a diploma or whatever it is, somebody is prepared for a technical skill, demonstration. Then on the food nutrition, a lot of gaps in terms of deficiencies, and of importance was the issue of safety, which it seems nobody is taking good account of. I mean, nutrition security, how about nutrition safety? What are we doing about that? Then the Kelvin made a serious challenge to Nigeria as a nation in terms of the requirement for residue report on produce to be exported, that he has not found anywhere in Nigeria where the facility exists. Your samples are brought, they do the residue analysis for you, send the report back before you can get to export your material. So these are areas of gaps, and my sister has also mentioned one in terms of the services required.